All right, so now,
I would just like to get more in depth with the dating topic. Going from their generation to mine and my brother's, I noticed there's a big difference in dating. My parents' generation, I felt like, although it was more like I don't know, like it was there, but there was no labels, but there was still some sort of connection, you know. And nowadays, there's no connection. It's all about, we know,
sex, physical.
Yeah, physical.
I wouldn't even say just that. I would say people aren't dating for the right reasons. I would say.
I'd like to offer another theory on that too. Mm-hmm. In general, I think that cell phones and being online and that stuff, all of those things have diminished the ability to communicate. Yeah.
Yes.
So
dating sites have destroyed dating.
I'm not gonna say dating sites.
Yes, they destroyed dating because you're. You know,
I met some nice
like
people.
when I had to
nice
talk to a young lady, I had to physically go up and talk to her.
Okay, and you can meet someone on a dating
site
and
I meet people like that in person.
So it's not the dating site.
It's just not like that.
The texting,
the culture of
snap,
dating, I think, has changed. I would say social media is a point of that, but also reading levels have gone down
because
a lot in the last few years. They did actually pick up when COVID first started happening. Actually, I think in some statistics, I think Barnes and Noble was finding more business or whatever. But in terms of like tier 3 level reading, those are people who can read proficiently, write proficiently, give speeches, all of that. Less than, I believe the statistic was 34% Americans exist in that bracket.
Okay. And that goes.
And that goes into conversational. I'm saying, the talking part of dating and knowing how to speak to each other, have constant conversations of substance.
I'm not saying the platforms. I'm saying the actual device. Mm-hmm. So whereas your dad and I, when we communicated, when we were friends and when we were dating, or anyone that we were dating, you meet. You speak to someone, you exchange phone numbers. Mm-hmm. You're talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're in school with the person, you might write a note to them.
Yeah.
There's exchange of information, ideas. You're talking and communicating.
And I
with cell phones, with those devices, with technology, that it's a distraction. It's when you text, you're not typing in full sentences. There's a lack of. It's instant gratification. Thank you.
Yes.
Instant gratification, but you've taken that element of being able to get comfortable communicating, get to know someone.
And I wouldn't, but here's the thing, in the same way that I don't blame irresponsible gun users for guns, or guns for that, I don't blame irresponsible daters. I will say the cell phones have made it a bit more trickier to navigate, but I don't think it's necessarily a correlation and causation thing. Because I've been on FaceTime, I've done FaceTime dates, I've done you can still utilize your phone in a way that makes dating helpful.
I'm not saying that it's not a tool that can be, like I said, with your dad saying that about dating sites. We have a cousin who, what was it, eHarmony? Because that was one of the first ones, and they're still married. So it's not this. I'm not saying that you can't use it to have meaningful. I'm saying that it's put a block in the need for those things.
Right.
I would love to live in y'all's generation to see what it was like back then.
This is a prime example. All right, like when your mom, when we were friends and we weren't even dating, she would come home from school. Okay, and she would call me. She called me on the house phone, and we'd talk for a minute. Hey, you want to go such and such? We'd go there and we would talk to each other.
Right.
And we might spend hours talking to each other.
Was the only,
it wasn't
or the main mode of communication.
Yeah. We would spend hours and we'd talk about current events, silly stuff. This happened to me the other day. That happened the other day. We were communicating. We were going back and forth.
And y'all know I love the ability to text and email because I am not a talker. I'm not a phone talker. I love text and email, but there's an element there that's missing.
Right.
Reagan, there was a young man that you were communicating with through Snapchat, but you were apprehensive about a phone call. And so my thing was, like, we'd fall asleep holding the phone. Yeah. So for me, okay, if y'all have gotten to the point where the Snapchat is no longer effective, the next step would be a phone call.
Call on the phone. Yeah.
So that type of thing, I'm not saying that it's bad, wrong, whatever. I'm saying that there's not a need there. Yeah, and like our off-camera guest said, that instant gratification.
Mm-hmm. But I also think that we have to be fair in that, especially in the Black community, like, we don't really teach how to date. That's not something that we're taught. I don't think.
I wouldn't say that now because
I would say no. We can go. Wait. We can go to pointers for y'all, but we were never sat down and said this is what you should do.
Our parents didn't teach us how to date.
That's what I'm saying.
I know that
our parents didn't teach us how to date, but we communicate. That's the point. Yes. Like the communication, like
so what
the constant communication. Like I didn't have to perceive that she didn't like me touching her in a certain way. She told me that because we communicated. Yes. She communicated that to me. You know what I'm saying?
What would that look like?
Right. Teaching you how to date.
I think that's, when I say teach you how to date, I'm talking about setting up the children to have fruitful relationships when they leave the nest. And I'm not even saying that just singularly to single y'all. I'm saying I think that's something that Black people, we miss the mark on a lot. Even when you go outside of Black Americans, we're always like the purity culture with the girls. Girls close your legs. Boys run roam free. You know what I'm saying? There's no stable teaching in there. So I feel like when you add social media, if that I'm saying y'all were taught the best way y'all were known. I know y'all weren't taught that. I'm just saying that's the element that also belongs in the conversation.
I'm asking though.
I have other friends from other communities. They're taught how to date.
Okay, tell me what that looks like.
Like for instance, the women, they're taught to go to college and you date. That's where you find your mate and you serial date. Doesn't mean you sleep around, but you go around, you date around, find a man
so
that's
you're saying
maybe,
okay. I think I kind of get what you're saying. Mm-hmm. Like Kevin Samuels was saying, the dating pool. Like when you're in college, you're dating different people to see what you're interested in. Mm-hmm. But there again, those things weren't necessarily taught to us. Now, some other cultures may push the children to date this person or set people up with different mates or whatever, or arranged marriages or whatever. But there was never no teaching of how to date.
Yeah, okay, but I have two things with that. Mm-hmm. One, it doesn't matter if you're told go here and this is where you meet and blah blah blah. If you're not comfortable with communicating with people, mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Like you could be in a room full of eligible individuals. But if you don't know how to approach, communicate, whatever, that's the issue. Right. And for two, I'm be honest with you, I don't label myself as a feminist or anything like that. I would never teach my child when you go to college that opens up the man pool. I'm not doing that. To me, that's patriarchy.
Yeah. I'm not saying open up the man pool. I'm saying when you're dating, you want to look for this, you want to look for that. Because you should want her to end up with somebody who has stability, who has a job, who has a well-paying job. That's something that's not really taught in our community.
Oh, well, that's why I look to my father as a guide and to what I want in as a man. Because
that may have helped you, but I'm just saying that's
some people don't always have their fathers, so...
But Mom and I we just listened to an episode that we played previously on some of our early episodes, and we were talking about our expectations, what expectations we had for a mate, and some of that, a good bit of that, came from friends and family. people who we saw with
You
positive
see
relationships,
of what to do
and
examples
negative
of what not
relationships.
to do.
Yeah, definitely.
We saw those things, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know how to teach you to open your eyes to look at, you know, this family member or that family member, that friends, well, they have a positive marriage, or they have a positive marriage, or a positive relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like those keys you have to kind of pick up on yourself.
Another thing is, you said, you know, someone who takes care of whatever. Success is so individualized.
Yes, it is.
So
it is.
what we have taught both of you is that there's no one path to a successful life. That success is what you make of it, what you think it is. And I know I have said specifically to you, there are people who work in fast food for their entire lives and they're happy and they're satisfied, and that is a successful life if that is what the individual wants. So there again, those types of things, I feel like pouring into you all as individuals is more beneficial than pointing out things in others. Because if as an individual you have these morals and values, if as an individual you are open-minded and compassionate, you are going to seek that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, the fact that we are sitting here in the conversations that we've had with the two of y'all just on camera, that not counting the conversations we have aside from that, but just on camera, the two of you are evidence that you grew up in an environment where we spoke to you, we talked to you, we listened to you. Now, it may not have always been the outcome you wanted.
Right.
However, you all have been open to express yourself. You are inquisitive. We try to answer the best way that we can, and I just feel like that's where the my effort and energy I pour into the two of you. Now, on another note, either of y'all bring in somebody that don't sit right with Mama's spirit, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know.
You might not like it.
I'm right.
We're gonna let you
I
know.
don't know
I don't know
about
about that
and
one.
I'm gonna let you know. I don't know if that one good enough for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I just want to say, and because of what she just said, I know there's no like book or no set rule on parenting, but the one thing that I can guarantee is that when you treat your kids the way that my mom and dad have treated us, whereas they talk to us, and even though we don't like the advice that they give us at times, it's still good advice that we may need later in life. I just want y'all to know that that is like probably the number one thing that you can do when it comes to raising a child, in my opinion. Yeah.
now, that's
It might not be the best thing.
My
you know.
pumpkin and I, we bump heads, but it's okay. Because
That's fine.
even with that, there you go.
Exactly.
Even
That
with
just
that,
goes
what
to
I
show
can
y'all
tell
are
you is,
So not saying
we might
you're
not
supposed to
agree, but I respect it. And like I said, that's a point of pride for me, is that you think for yourself. You walk, you make your own path. And that's beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted.
Y'all were able to give us the ability to be as open
is,
as possible.
I think in all actuality, this is the thing that I didn't want, because I felt like me and Mom talked about this earlier. You know, when I had the opportunity, like, you know, it was pushed to me to go to college after high school, right? And because I had older siblings that went off to college, that was like the push. You know, the Cosby Show, Different World, that's what was pushed in our generation. And it was like, okay, well, I guess I need to go to college. I knew that I didn't need to go. I knew that, you know what I'm saying? But I tried to go along to appease them. And then it didn't work out for me. So now, we were talking about this today, you know, I didn't even realize that we had an automotive shop class, because that's where I should have been, had I had the freedom to think, okay, well, there are other avenues besides going to college. I would have probably went that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of thing that we never wanted to put the stipulation in front of you and say, hey, you either go this way or that way. You know what I'm saying? Because then, when you're later in life, you're frustrated. Well, I went this way like they told me to. And then I'm not happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now that's more frustrating than anything.
Yeah.
Because I've got
Constantly
friends
trying to
and
achieve
people that I
someone
know
else's goal.
who are in professions now, high-paying professions. I mean, successful, but they are not happy, and they want to change. They want to make the change because they tried to follow the norm, so to speak. You know. So I mean that's the type of thing that we didn't want to create for you guys. So we tried our best to say, okay, do what you want to do. Only thing we wanted you to ever do was your best. Even in school, nobody said you had to make straight A's. Just do your best.
Yep.
Like and what I would get on to you guys a lot about was I didn't see the books open, but you're coming to me asking questions about, well, I'm struggling with math. Well, okay. Well, if you're struggling with math, I should see you with a math book.
Think about that.
That's just common sense.
Neither one
you know
of
what
you
I'm
have
saying?
ever gotten in trouble for a grade.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that wasn't our thing. Our thing was we want decent humans.
Mm-hmm.
We want you putting forth effort.
Because all A's and you a decent human being I'd rather have you now treat people with respect. I ain't got people coming to me talking about your son or your daughter's an asshole. Then you got straight A's in high school.
Right.
That's
but they got
the
straight
reality.
A's in school. Right.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
Which y'all were good students.
Yeah.
Once y'all hit high school, there were some bumps.
Mm-hmm.
But that was our thing. You put forth the effort, and then after high school, it was you don't have to go to college, but you need a plan, and we'll help you. We'll guide you to implement that plan.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying?
I mean, I think that's just what's missing is the guidance. Like, okay, if y'all feel like y'all can't speak to the generation, y'all are the older generation. So okay, well, hey, what about this made you mad? What about this X, Y, and Z? What about this? That I think that would be a more helpful thing than us just critiquing each other back and forth. Because then it can start to feel like it's just a back and forth. When there's going to be things I do because of my age that I like that you don't like and vice versa. That's just, it is what it is.
And that's, I mean, we're sitting
I don't
here
mind.
now.
You're saying texting.
Yeah.
I now, this is a problem of mine that I just realized I was speaking with my cousin about this on the way over here. I don't like people calling me out of nowhere if we just started texting. I don't like that.
I don't either.
Now, if you say you're going to call with, then now I do have 2 friends, they can call me whatever. That's fine. About 2 to maybe 3. Huh? Y'all call if y'all need me.
That's what I'm saying.
Now, if I can't answer, then, I'll text you back. But I don't mind being on the phone all day long with a friend. Mm-hmm. We're different in that way.
Right.
I don't think that's something we have to, go back and forth
No,
about.
of course not.
Right.
And
So
that's
in
nothing
regards to the dating conversation, I do think there should be more conversations about dating, especially within black households, because a lot of our unions, black love is a beautiful thing when it's in a healthy and positive environment, but a lot of that is not what, I haven't seen a lot of that.
I haven't heard a lot of that.
I've seen it here.
A lot of
here, but in my inner dealings, because for me, I'm an individual in the way that I can only function and control what Tyson does. But in terms of black people specifically, especially, I want to see us do better, and I want to see society as a whole. But, we've talked about systemic racism, all that. Collectively, is that going to go anywhere? Probably not, but at least not in our time frame. Mm-hmm. But, work with the allies you have, build the circles that you do have.
Yeah.
And, a part of that is accountability, and sometimes it can feel like an attack, but it's just that. And I think that's the problem. Mm-hmm. And when people are too big to where they can't even get checked on stuff, I think that's where a lot of the friction comes in, depending on what the conversation is. Like earlier you brought up something about the LGBTQ. There was no way in my mind that what Mr. Jonathan Kirkland did a couple years back on that stage, when he said, raise your hand if you don't have we all know what he said, the baby, who, for those who don't know who Jonathan Kirkland is, there's no defense of that. That you're on a stage. What happens to wave your hands in the air if you got $5 in your pocket? Like, there's just certain things that people want to go back and forth about, that there's nothing to go back and forth about.
Right.
Oh, the baby?
No, we don't.
Oh, okay. We don't want.
Yeah, there's no defense.
So some things are ignorance, but some things are arrogance.
So
you have to know the difference, because some people, they'll act like they want to. Well, what can I do? What can I this? You'll tell them something. You'll give them a link, a source of this, and I know that's something that happens a lot on social media. You'll do this, and then the goalpost starts moving.
Or Now, one thing that I've seen on the opposite end is for me, I'm like, well, what does it mean? Do your own research.
Yep.
But I can try, but I don't. What if I don't even know what I'm researching?
Mm-hmm.
Can you shoot me a link? Can you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that give and take needs to come from both sides, and that's why I enjoy when we sit down and we start talking about things, because it gives us the opportunity. Hopefully, it gives y'all the opportunity to maybe hear things from our perspective and understand more the actions, and then vice versa, because I don't know if you don't tell me. I think one of the things that keeps coming back with you and I, and then with you and your dad, is that when you were younger, we gave that space for you to be able to express your feelings. It did not always lead to the outcome that you wanted, and that's where your frustration came in.
Yep. I don't even think it's a frustration of that. The outcomes didn't matter. I would ask you why, and a lot of things and this is something that a lot of black parents do. The why doesn't matter. Like, y'all feel like y'all are too big to explain the why, and that's something that for y'all's generation. Listen, wait, can I finish?
Okay.
Y'all's generation. I know y'all were raised from y'all's parents. Y'all were lucky if you even got a why. So I understand that if y'all even ever got one. But for our generation, it would have been nice to understand, well, why can't I do this? Why? Because you're explaining, listen,
because
I don't want you going to that party because there could be drugs, there could be this, there could be that. Do you think I would have, if you had said that? Because I remember there was a party I asked you about. Do you think if you had said that to me, you know the type of kid that I was. I'm always up here, correct? So if you had said that, and maybe that way, do you think I probably would have received that better?
I don't recall that, but I can recall some situations where I did give a why. Mm-hmm. And so that for me, I think that there was balance in allowing the why and answering it. There was a situation where when you were in high school, there was a girl who was having a baby shower, one of your friends, and I wouldn't let you go. Mm-hmm. And I explained why. But it didn't change the response.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where the frustration comes in.
Was she older? Because now looking back,
right? No, she was a high school student. And my thing is,
I don't co-sign
not.
That. I'm older now. I don't
see, not saying
like to see
that
children
anything.
Happily married households.
Exactly.
I don't care if that's
so. It wasn't that
say.
I was saying that the girl was wrong, bad, whatever. It was just that as a parent, I want you to be a part of something different than that. So I'm not going to co-sign on that. And so I think that's where some of the frustration would come in.
Certain things that, like, and then you have to also keep in mind, it had to be an age-appropriate response to it. Like, it was hard to tell you, and I'm not saying that this happened, let's just say as an example, let's just say I knew that the little boy's house you want to go to, dad was a pervert. Mm-hmm. And this, that, and third. Well, I don't want you going over to that party. And you'd be like, well, why? Well, because I just don't like the way they do things.
And we know how both of y'all
are. If I tell you the little boy is a pervert, first thing you're going to do is go, Mr.
Monday morning at school.
Are you a pervert? I'm not saying that. Not saying that that's what you would do. But you know what I'm saying?
In context, because y'all are used to being able to express yourself and to say things.
Or going to the school to tell, I ain't go to the party because Miss such and such is a pervert, you know.
But
what is a pervert? So I think it is in every situation, just like with the book, we had to make decisions based on and tell you enough that was based on age appropriateness. You know what I'm saying?
Age appropriate.
Like age appropriate, because like, you know, I ain't want to bust your bubble and be like, well, dang, you know, you can't go because I know it's a dope house. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a trap.
Okay,
you know
I'll give you another thing. Reagan, you had been told no a couple of times about going to the mall.
No, was that when I threw my phone on the floor? I was gonna say there was that story when I threw my iPhone 5C, which Y'all, I don't know why I thought this was going to
Hurt
provoke
y'all.
something out of them.
Hurt y'all.
But I thought they told me no.
I just
didn't
looked.
stay-
I was
no,
like-
it was me staying the night with somebody.
She threw that glass
and
phone.
it was when we were at Indian Springs.
I think that was your
And-
iPad.
No, it was my
No, I was
phone.
talking
Yeah.
about
It was my
phone.
phone.
It
We
was
were
my
there.
phone because she had to get another
he
one.
was
I
there.
remember that.
And
Okay.
because
I
I
just
remember I
looked at
threw
her.
it and then I hid in the closet because that closet was so big enough you could just like crouch down, sit down, you know, you could make a tent out of it. So I remember throwing my phone down right after they told me no, I couldn't stay the night, and I just remember thinking like,
What was gonna change? Did you
my
stay the
phone-
night?
My phone broke.
Exactly.
And, I
And
still
you still
didn't
was at
go
home.
there. Like, what was the reason?
Yep.
There was a time, like I was always mindful of, like you would want to go to the mall and walk around with your friends. I was always mindful of that because honestly, in the world that we live in, if you and your non-black friend are walking around and something happens, the finger is going to point to you.
Yep.
And I don't know if that person's mom is going to have your back.
Right.
I wouldn't let you go to the lake with certain friends because, hey, I need for y'all to watch my kid.
Also, it was Krista. Rest in peace.
So that, you know, those types of things, we tried to, I think we tried to explain in a way that was age appropriate and within context, but sometimes the no had to stay a no, and that's when I think, you know what I'm saying, that the anger stayed there.
I think y'all were like authoritative for the most part, but y'all were also the one at the bottom.
Because I'm going to be honest,
I mean,
I have
y'all were
always
authoritative,
thought that y'all, I've always trusted y'all as individuals up until you hit ninth grade, and I still trusted you to an extent. So when you're told no, it wasn't about you, it was about the situation
or the people,
or the people, or you wanted to go visit your friend.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? He was arrested.
Your rapping buddy.
Yeah. And some things looking back,
take you to the jailhouse to go visit him.
Now, and some things looking back, that definitely was wrong.
Yeah.
But there have been also something, like I remember our cousins that lived next to us. I never understood you. Other than now that I'm older, looking back, I can say overstaying you're welcome. But also, these are, you know who I'm talking about, right?
No.
Marshalls.
Cousins.
Oh.
Mr. Marshall
We
has
didn't
no
live
problem
there.
sparing. Yes, yeah, we did. Or not live. No, we didn't.
right.
I forgot.
Our old
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah. But Mr. Marshall has no problem mincing words with me. And I remember you would make it a big deal for me to be home before 12. And that was something that we butted heads about. Because I didn't really have any other friends. Like when I left, I don't think y'all ever understood, but when I left high school, that was a very... I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I never got to go to prom.
I know.
I never got to... Like, I will always carry that with me. I don't like that.
I know
And
that.
even then, when you leave... Whenever you're taken out of a situation of comfort where people are used to seeing you, you really see who cares about you. There are people who didn't speak 4 words to me. That, Tyson, where are you at? It's the new beginning of the school year, da-da-da. So when I finally found somebody, friendships, I had a thing of latching on. And I mean, it wasn't, if I've ever noticed I'm putting in more, I'm pretty good about winding back on that. But in terms of that, like that was always a frustrating thing with us. And that rule, you know what I'm saying? Because again, he'll make clear, hey, you know what I'm saying? This and the
Right.
You know,
Okay, so
even though when it's
and in my head, all I see is I'm getting off of work. I'm tired. I just want to go chill out with my friends and have a decent time, family, really. So that was something.
And there again, it wasn't. It wasn't about whether if it was family. It wasn't about whether if it was whoever. It may have been about. We had to set time because her and I have work hours, and what y'all don't understand
y'all
is
to be
just like
safe
to tell
at
her,
home.
I can't sleep
Right.
if you ain't in this house.
Hell no, they can't. Sorry.
I can't function. You know what I'm saying? Like I won't have a peaceful sleep
Right.
unless I know you're safe at home.
Right.
Y'all trying to
And
go
that's
to the club.
something that you will never understand to your parents. I'm not saying that you'll never understand.
I can't even go
but
to the club.
I'm saying like those are the type of things that we tried to get you guys. And it was hard to.
Ain't she 21 now?
I can, but they're gonna be staying up.
It was hard to express that to you guys. Like, look, this is the deal, but you know.
Well, also, at a certain time, at a certain age, it's not. It's a safety thing.
Yeah, it's a safety thing.
And then of course, you know, of course.
And now you all that stuff had still been going on. I know you. Well, you presented a mouth, and then driving home late at night on these dark roads, Columbia County pull you over. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking those things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not thinking ruining your fun. I'm thinking.
And for me,
I'm thinking your safety. Like, okay, and then it's 12:30 at night. He ain't home. What's going on? And then I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning. Or if something happens, then she wakes me up and I can't sleep for the rest of the night. Not that my sleep is the most important thing, but it's just like, you know, it's trying to find that balance and to say, okay, what is a decent time for you to be, and that's why when we came with the 360 app, you know, that gave us a peace. Say, okay, at least I know he's here.
At least I can see.
You know what I'm saying? I know he's here. You know what I'm saying? And then we told y'all, if you feel like you're doing something and you know you want an extension of time or whatever, let us know.
As you get older, then those things are loosened.
Yeah.
And you know, the high school thing, that's one of those things. As a parent, you're thinking in the moment, this is the best situation. And I realized it wasn't.
Well, and I mean,
yeah.
And I realized that it wasn't, and that the effects of it affected you and not me.
And it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that really annoyed me about that. It was the fact that, and just being like honest with you, I just really felt like, you know, when you did your boss move, but I felt like that should have been done like 9 weeks ago or so. Like, coming into that late, it didn't feel like it was going to do anything, because I've been telling y'all I was having issues with that teacher, both of those math teachers, all year long. I have been telling y'all that. Like, and I think it's sometimes as kids, it just feels like we're always being told we're making stuff up, and that can be annoying.
Right.
Well, it can be feeling like we're dismissed. We're not being taken seriously.
But for me, especially with inside information.
Wait, let me say this. Now I'm 25. I can still tell you in my grown age, those people had a problem. I don't know what it was. And one of the teachers, I don't know if you recall, I told you, I had a friendly rapport with him because he was cool with one of the other teachers, I can't remember his name, but he ended up moving. But me and him had talked a couple times the prior year. So when I got in his class, I thought we were going to be good. So I didn't think we'd have any issues. But I was always having issues in those classrooms. And for me, that just like that was devastating. Like,
and when
I always saw myself finishing, going to prom, doing all that, and not having that, you know. And I know how the situation worked. If I had stayed, it would have been a different type of thing.
And there was not inactivity on our part. When you let me know, I address it. As teacher, I address it in a way that I know is going to be what's needed when I get to the top. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to start with the teacher and the teacher only. And then I'm going to move up to there. Because once I get to the top, then I can go back and say, see, on this date, this is what I sent. On this date, this is what I sent.
And I also feel like, to be honest, looking back, like, we probably should have been held more to a higher standard when it came to our grades. Now, I will say this, that we also have to want to do that. And my head was other places as well. I was going through a lot.
Okay.
I say you.
The other day,
I was the A.
We had a conversation very similar to this.
Girl, how was French
class?
Because we both.
But and this is the thing. And guess what? Guess who told both of y'all not to take French? But anywho,
Mama knows best.
Wait, because I tried to take Spanish, but y'all Spanish speaking people took that classroom up and you filled it up.
Anyways,
I walked by that classroom. I saw a bunch of brown people.
This is the thing.
And they wasn't Afro-Latin.
Anyways,
they was Latinx.
The thing.
I ain't mad at it though. Get your easy A.
The thing is,
I'm a little mad.
I understand that, and I feel bad about that. But in the situation, okay, you said, so, and we mentioned before your culinary arts class. And it's, the book work was not important to you. It was the labs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the teacher, she understood that, in that she let you participate, but you were still failing on the assignments you weren't doing.
Yeah, I think that was also the year I broke my leg, right?
It was.
That was a lot.
It was.
Y'all, breaking an arm is one thing, but breaking a leg.
Because I did you so dirty.
Listen, you did.
I really did.
Both of us. Y'all left us. Well, you had to go to work, but y'all left us. Me and that baby, and his broke leg. Oh my God, it was so traumatic.
Y'all, that's so
it's okay though, kids. Next
the
thing you know, my collarbone
when
breaks.
you wake up when your leg is broke, like, oh my God. Well, I ain't gonna say I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy because I ain't mature enough to say that. But you know,
Mama might not be either. But anyway, but that's the thing. We make decisions as parents, and the only thing we can do is wait for the outcome. Yep. And I do regret some of those decisions. We can't go back and change them.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why we try and let y'all know, look, we did things thinking we're doing what's best for y'all. I just, in that situation, it's like being caught between a rock and a hard place. Like, what do you do?
And two, you got to think that we were not an Orthodox family, because when we had the adoption situations, a lot of times what that created was, you know, in some situations y'all kind of got pushed to the back a little bit, and we realized that. We realized that because, you know, we thought that was the right thing to do. That was the correct thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
We thought.
Yeah, we
that
thought that we was just
we're
amazing,
you know, showing love, and y'all are gonna.
Yeah.
But there again, once it's done, it's done.
In the midst of it, we realized, okay, our children are lacking what they need, so we tried to come back and try to fill those voids, you know what I'm saying, as much as we possibly could.
You also got selfish kids. Well, I'm not about him, but I'm selfish as hell.
So nobody,
I'm not gonna lie, I was jealous.
Nobody expected.
I
I was about to say, nobody expected the situation to come out the way it was, because you know, it's almost like a salesperson. They're telling us, "Oh, this is what this child needs."
If y'all felt shorted, we felt shorted because we was like, this ain't what that book said.
Right. Now, sidebar, because our oldest is a wonderful, wonderful woman.
And she's came a long way. I'm so proud of her. I love you, Britt. I love you so much.
So much.
Yes.
She is a loving, compassionate, caring child.
Love you, Teddy. Right.
She was born into the wrong family. There was circumstance. And we didn't
adopt her
until
a little bit too late.
Right.
Like, if only we saved her a little bit sooner, I guarantee you things.
So we went into it not very informed and without support and not prepared.
And
so
once you signed that line, it was just like,
that was it. So our oldest, she is phenomenal. She is and thankfully she has stopped that cycle that she was born into, because she's a good mama too. Yep. So not taking anything away from her or from that. And the little one, definitely unexpected.
Yep.
And definitely threw us off and threw us for a loop. But there again, that's the little one, that's the baby, and we don't blame or anything like that. But we do realize that our choices had a negative impact because we weren't fully prepared. We had rose-colored sunglasses. We had windows that were rose-colored. The car window, like everything was gonna be rosy and shiny when we bring that baby home. And boy, were we wrong. But in the end, our intention was always to love you all, to show you how to be open, to love other people, and to create this family unit, so to speak. Our family unit was, well, it was a little askew.
I'm about to say that's why we invited so
it's
many.
It's a little bit askew.
Got a bunch of god sisters and god brothers.
It's what we got.
Exactly.
Everyone that we love.
God's love has limits.
On the way. Ain't that right? Ain't that right, Dre?
You still gonna stay off camera? Yeah, okay. All right. We love you.
That's our godson, y'all. Love him to death.
Yep. He's our first.
Yep.
That's our first godson. Yep. All right. We good?
I think we talked about everything.
I don't know what else to talk about. See you next time.
And we're gonna put we're gonna link to y'all stuff.
Yeah, Miss Mama J needs to put my videos out
I know.
there.
It's
I
on
saw
my
my
list.
page.
It's on my list.
Yeah, she getting there.
I'm getting there.
Stay tuned.
Link to y'all stuff. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Right. Till next time.
Till next time.
We will holla at y'all. Peace.